everyone. This is the second part of Understanding Patriarchy by Bell Hooks. Simone de Beauvoir, in her very famous text, The Second Sex, the second part of The Second Sex begins with the sentence, "One is not born, rather becomes a woman." See, the sentence is very crucial for this particular essay in the sense that one is not born, rather becomes a woman. The reality is that one is not born but becomes a man as well. See, a woman and a man is not born. A woman and man is a becoming process. You become a man, you become a woman. And for this becoming process, the society, the patriarchal structure of the society, the patriarchal discourse in which we are caught in are to be blamed. See, of course, we are also part of the system. But then, see, the way in which patriarchy instills, the way in which patriarchy injects or indoctrinate us into set roles of becoming a man and a woman. See, the society tells us to fit in, as Kamala Das says in her very famous poem, an introduction. It is fitting in, belong, cried the categorizers. That is what Kamala Das says. Now, categorizing man and woman into set roles, into roles which are suitable for them. The roles which are suitable are being dictated, are being kind of planned and written, or it's a kind of unwritten codes. You have codes of conduct of becoming a man and becoming a woman. So this particular code of conduct of do's and don'ts, that you are supposed to do these kinds of things so as to become a man, you are supposed to do these kinds of things so as to become a woman, are being created and imparted, are being circulated indirectly. It's of course not written, it is being circulated indirectly. And Bell Hooks, in this Understanding Patriarchy, calls patriarchy as the most life-threatening disease which affects the male body as well. It affects the woman body, but then we all have a tendency to feel, we all feel like patriarchy is something which affects women alone. No, it is something which affects men as well. Women and men are both in this becoming process of manning process, womaning process. We are equally caught in patriarchal system. Now, understanding patriarchy, Bell Hooks begins it by asking, what has patriarchy got to do with men? See, there are men who are not even familiar with this term. There are men who do not use this particular term patriarchy in their daily conversation. They are not acquainted with the term. Sometimes there are men who do not even know the spelling of the word or the pronunciation of patriarchy. So it is, there are men who feel like, who usually associate the term patriarchy with a women's liberation movement, feminism kind of things, which does not affect them at all. It does not affect us in the least. Now, it is a woman who uses the word patriarchy in a daily basis. Why? It is because women are at the taxed end, in the sense that it is woman who is most affected by the patriarchal discourse or the patriarchal system. Men are not that much affected. That is why, or men do not realize that they are affected. Men do not actually feel in a real sense. They do not understand, or they do not realize that they are so very caught in this patriarchal system. Okay, so there are lots and lots of systems. Bell Hooks is talking about lots and lots of systems, like you have imperialism, you have capitalism, you have lots and lots of systems are there in which you are caught. But patriarchy is the system which you grow up with which you grow up. You are actually growing up with patriarchy. Nobody can escape from the so-called discourse of patriarchy. Even if you are ignorant of the word, maybe sometimes you may not know the word, you may not know the pronunciation of the word, you may not know the spelling of the word, you may not know what it means, but then you are growing with patriarchy. See, because patriarchal gender roles are assigned to you from your childhood onwards. You are given continual guidance about the ways by which you should fulfill your roles, fulfill your role of becoming a man, fulfill your role of becoming a woman. So Bell Hooks says that patriarchy is a political social system that insists that males are inherently dominating, superior to everything, and everyone other than male are deemed weak, especially females, and endowed with a right to dominate. And these men are endowed with a right to dominate and rule over the weak, and to maintain that dominance through various forms of psychological terrorism and violence. Of course, if you're taking the different institutions which instills patriarchy in us, the first school of patriarchy is, of course, religion. Religion is the first base where you are taught the binary oppositions, where man becomes powerful and woman becomes powerless. And in religion, it is taught that God created man to rule the world. Women are to help men, are to obey them, are to have a subordinate role than them. So this particular thing, which is taught by religion, which is taught by the first school, which is the first institution which teaches patriarchy, which teaches the system of patriarchy, is later on reinforced through different institutions. Like you have schools where you are taught the same thing, courthouses, clubs, sports arenas, everywhere. You have a complete embracing of patriarchal thinking. You have a complete embracing of patriarchal thinking. And through this embracing of patriarchal thinking, what happens is that patriarchy is seen to be is seen so natural. It is seen so natural. See, Bell Hooks is citing her own childhood, where her brother and herself were treated by their parents in a very patriarchal manner, where she as a daughter were taught to serve. She as a daughter were taught that you are weak, you have a complete freedom from thinking. You need not think, you need not take the burden of thinking. You should be a caretaker, you should be a nurturer. And the most important thing is that a woman is not supposed to be violent. Woman cannot express her feelings. Woman cannot express her rage, because rage, violence is not feminine. Expressing your feeling is not feminine. Whereas as a son, her brother was being taught every day. He was being taught indirectly. He was being taught that you are to be served, you need not serve, you are strong. Thinking, that is what you should do. Strategize, that is what you should do. Planning, and you should refuse to be the caretaker. Your value, the value that a man has in a family, the value that a man has in a society, is determined by the violence that he is able to exert towards others. See, a man is not supposed to express his feelings. Even though he feels hurt, he cannot express it, because man is also equally caught in this patriarchal setup. Now, this particular sense of gender, which is taught by parents, which is taught by relatives, which is taught by friends, in by which children are not allowed to act the way they want to. Instead, they have to follow certain predetermined gendered script. There is a sort of gendered script, appropriate gender roles of what to do and what not to do. And to become a man, you have to do certain kinds of things. To become a woman, you have to do certain kinds of things. And it is only women who are challenging this patriarchy, because it is women who are left out. who are marginalized, who are othered from the mainstream. You see, they are left out of the things that they want to be a part of. See, for example, Bell Hooks is giving us an example of a game which she and her brother used to play. The game was marble game. Her brother got lots and lots of marbles from I mean, it was a kind of an inherited property that men get, and what happens is he's playing, usually both of them play, and there is no problem, and the Bell Hooks is somewhat aggressive. Bell Hooks is very active, very vibrant, which is something which a woman is not supposed to be. She is very vibrant and she is very aggressive as well. She fights with him, and the brother is so very calm and quiet and peaceful, and what happens is, yeah, every day the thing is so, and when mother is around they used to play. Mother do not actually say anything, but then one day what happened was that their dad happened to see the game, and the dad was watching the game with a patriarchal lens, right? And the father says, girls are not supposed to, you need not play marbles, girls are not supposed to play marbles. So the right to play of a girl child is completely denied by saying that this is not a game which a girl is supposed to play. And what happened was that she actually tells the father that she wants to play, but then what happens is that she gets beaten. And there is a pornography of the violence which is the father actually beats Bell Hooks, and there is a pornography of patriarchal violence around. I've told you that girls are not allowed to play marbles. If I say don't do it, and that is how things happen. And what happens is, once her mother came to know about this, mother, instead of standing with her, instead of supporting her, what she did was that she was strengthening it. See, you have a male counterpart exerting violence upon a girl, and the female part of the household, the female member of the household, reinforcing the so-called patriarchal setup by saying that you need to accept it because you are a little girl, and little girls cannot do what boys do. Girls cannot do what boys do. So this is, and then what happened was that there was a continuous retelling. Retelling is something which patriarchal discourse, patriarchal system often does to reinforce patriarchy. To reinforce patriarchy in the sense that by retelling the story again and again, what happens is you're reinforcing patriarchy not only to the girl there, instead to all the rest of the family members there. See, father seeing something through a patriarchal lens, and from the part of the women, the mother, the grandmother, whoever is there, the female counterparts, whoever is there are there in the household, they are reinforcing patriarchy by continuously retelling this particular story. And this retelling of the story, what happens is, it is not to her alone, it is to all the children. All the children who are growing up should learn, should obey the rules, otherwise you should be punished. So there is a constant use of violence from men, from women, to reinforce patriarchy. So we'll talk about the rest of it in the next video. Thank you.